The thing is, you got to know about history, and you got to see what these people are doing. We have no business being in wars. And you could say, well, look at all these people that died in the World Trade Center. Well, you know why?
A lot more have died in this war.
And I love the WikiLeaks thing. Oh, the WikiLeaks people, they're endangering the American people. They're endangering lives by the leak of information on WikiLeaks. No, stupid ass. The one who is endangering lives are the ones who are starting these stupid campaigns all across the globe. The people who are putting people at lives are the ones that are sending soldiers into harm's way for no good reason whatsoever. The only reason those soldiers are there is for rare earth elements, other assets, oil, and just pure military might, pushing it out there so we can get some global control. That's the only reason that we're there. We're in all these countries telling everybody what to do, and then we wonder, they hate us for our freedoms. No, they hate us because we're involved in their stuff.
And you're killing their uncles and their cousins for nothing.
You're going over there and you're using, uranium-filled weapons, depleted uranium weapons. You're dropping them on these people. And you know what? If we wanted to set them free, we wouldn't be using uranium-depleted weapons in Iraq. If we were thinking about, we're there to liberate these people because Saddam Hussein was such a bad guy. But meanwhile, we drop depleted uranium on people in cities down there. And then when they start having kids with 4 heads, we go, I don't know how that happened. Give me a freaking break. This is the worst terrorist government on the face of the earth. The people in this country have to wake up and bring it down and start from scratch, as it says in the Constitution. When these ties no longer bind us, when governments no longer represent the interests of the people, it is our duty to abolish it. That is, in a nutshell, that's what it says. And and I'm not saying, I'm not advocating violence whatsoever. Peaceful revolution is possible. Gandhi showed that. But you have to be willing to get arrested and go to jail. And you know what? And you still have the Second Amendment. Now, the Second Amendment doesn't only mean guns, okay? It could mean slingshots. It could mean spears. It could mean tasers. It could mean anything. It's something to protect yourself. You have the God-given right to protect yourself. So when you're next out there, okay, and you are marching because you don't like these wars, that you think that you care more about these soldiers and the men and women in uniform, that you want to spare them the agony of what is going on in these wars. We're losing more people than were ever lost in the Trade Center. Mm-hmm. So let's bring these people home. Let's withdraw from all of these countries and let's start making some, manufacturing businesses here so we can start selling stuff to the world and buying our own stuff. Because if we bought our own stuff, we wouldn't have unemployment. There'd be plenty of jobs to go around. But no, I can't go to the freaking store and buy anything made in the United States anymore because Clinton and because of Bush and because Obama and because all these freaking people have made agreements with corporations to do cheap slave labor in other countries. Now, are we supporting freedom? No, I don't think so. We are not supporting freedom. Because if we supported freedom, we would be supporting freedom of the Chinese to make a decent freaking living for themselves. Meanwhile, they're making like a freaking quarter a day, working 20-hour days, having to sleep there and be away from the families that they love. You know what? The Chinese are not our enemies. The corporations are our enemies. The people behind the power are our enemies. The people who run the Federal Reserve, they are our enemies. They print money out of thin air, they give us the money, and they charge us interest on something that is invisible. And if they don't get it, they're going to take everything you have. So how do you turn something that's invisible into something that you can hold? How does this happen? It is unconstitutional for anybody but our Congress to value the currency. So, but they don't seem to give darn tootin' about the Constitution or any other law that we've got, because the law is made by the government. The government tells you what to do, but it will never follow the law. The government never follows the law. The government shouldn't be harassing protesters at peaceful demonstrations.
Right.
But yet there is plenty of evidence, and I have on my YouTube channel photographic evidence that was obtained in a court order where the police videotaped themselves talking about how they were going to move peaceful protesters, and they just ran out of time. They just said, all right, we're going to move these people, and if they don't move, you hit them with sticks, and if they don't move, you hit them with CS gas, and if they don't move, rubber bullets, and if they don't move. So the only thing that they did was not move. That is not against the law.
And they also told the news people somebody threw a bottle.
Yeah,
that was their
justification. But meanwhile, because through the Freedom of Information Act and the court order, the folks were able to get the video from the police, and not one of those video had anybody throwing a bottle. So they made up lies. And the mantra that evening on the evening news said, well, the police had to come in because the police had someone throw a bottle at them, and that's when the police moved in. Bullshit.
Well, when did a bottle become deadly? Really?
Okay? These people were demonstrating against the wars, as they did in Vietnam. All right? It didn't start off that good for them then because it was a small number of people. But as images started coming back, because the press was there. The press was showing little naked babies running down the road, burned. They were showing people being shot in the head. They were showing the violence that war is. And every day, these people were seeing it on the television. And the media and the press is the eyes of the conscience of the American people. And what they have done is they have blinded the conscience of the American people by taking control of the press and using it as a marketing tool to sell products. Cheap products. Cheap because the Chinese government have perfected a way to make a hive out of human beings. The collective, as they are known. You know, even the freaking people in Darfur that were experiencing terrible conditions, and when the Chinese took over the employment and the businesses there, they said it got even worse with the Chinese. And if you don't know this, because the American media won't tell you this, is that frequently at many of the big factories in China, they have their own police force per factory to stop insurrection and people from rising up. You know, like unions, like collective bargaining, you know, that type of stuff that created certain changes in this country. Of course, that was even used for bad things. That's how we got all screwed up with our prices to begin with. But, you know, there has to be, if we're going to stand for something, and yet America's legs have gotten a bad case of atrophy over the last few years because America hasn't stood for anything in a long time. You know, it's, you know, when the Nazis, there was some guy, I don't remember what his name was, but, you know, the statement is, you know, when they came for the communists, you know, he didn't say anything. When they came for the Jews, he didn't say anything. When he came for this one, they didn't say anything. But when they came for him, he looked around and there was nobody left. You know, you got to stand up for what's right, and you can't back down. You cannot be backed up when you are in the right. If you have the basic right to protest, if this is your government and these are the people that are supposed to represent you, you have the right to air your discontent with that government and say, hey, I don't agree with this war. It needs to stop. And I'm standing up for that. And, you know, for somebody to hit you with a club and to put wire ties around your wrists and hit you with CS gas or mace and shoot you with rubber bullets because you refuse to move, what kind of a freaking country has this turned into? Really? What kind of country has this turned into? we may as well, paint a mustache on Obama and call him Stalinama or whatever the hell is, you want to call him. And like I said, it's got nothing to do with liberals. It's got nothing to do with conservatives or Republicans or Democrats, because they all support the same people. Look at who signed on to S510. It's a nice big mix of traitors.
Yes.
Republican and Democratic traitors, enemies of the people. So, I wouldn't feel bad if, people started hunting these people down in their homes. I wouldn't feel bad.
Well, it's treasonous. I mean,
it is treasonous.
They removed the part in there that the FDA could prosecute you for unsafe conditions, what they consider unsafe.
Yeah, who considers unsafe?
Yeah, who defines unsafe? But they left in there that the state attorney could come in and prosecute you.
Right.
So you're still being prosecuted by Big Brother. It's just not the FDA. It's the state. And if it comes down to the state, then doesn't the state need to pass this? Because that means the Fed and the state would be working together.
Well, yeah, you see, this is the thing, is that, the state, it used to be this nice little, opposition between the state's rights and the Fed's rights. And so the people kind of got in between that. And we decided how much power the state was going to have. We decided how much power the Feds were going to have. But see, now the Feds take money from us. They give it to the states and go, hey, we're the ones giving you the money, so you behave and do what we tell you to, and screw the people, So we're going to give you all these nice little Homeland Security toys. And by the way, the term Homeland Security comes from Nazi Germany. Look it up. Okay, they were the first ones to use that term.
Right.
And so, when you don't, you generally don't bite the hand that feeds you. All right, so if everything you have is being given to you by your big brother, why are you going to turn against your big brother? Really.
They don't fear the people anymore. That's why you used to be considered a public servant.
It used to say on the police cars to protect and serve, and maybe some departments still have that on there. Now, the question is who?
Yeah.
Who do you protect and who do you serve? Right. The NYPD actually has got it on there pretty good. CPR, because that's what you're going to need when they're done with you. Okay, is you're going to need CPR because they're going to beat the crap out of you. All right. So my suggestion is, okay, I'm a peaceful person, but I'm all for self-defense, all for it. Been all for it all my life. Taught this stuff for years and years and years. Okay. And I'm a peaceful person until you get in my face or you put a finger up, close to my nose. I'm going to break your finger. Okay, and so this is what I suggest. I suggest you go ahead, you folks go out and protest, but you bring folks with you that are going to watch your back, that are going to bring mace with you, and bring tasers with you.
Super soakers full of oil.
Super soakers full of oil.
And then a bag of flour so they can't see.
A bag of flour with a nice leaf blower. Okay, because these guys have helmets on with shields.
And respirators.
And respirators and all that crap, right? So, this is nice, anti-tactic tactics, you know what I mean? Somebody that has a gas mask on, the best way to screw them up is throw flour into the mix and gum up, their respirators, and then they can't breathe out of the damn thing, and so they have to take them off.
And then that's when you hit them with mace.
The shields, you can see really good when they're nice and squeaky clean. But you throw some oil with some through one of these nice super soaker air pumped water guns, and you throw some oil and then throw a leaf blower in the mix with some flour, and they won't be able to see 2 inches in front of their face. Okay, you gotta bring the playing field down. Okay, and I'm not saying do this to. I have lots of friends who are police officers. My father was a police officer, but he never pulled the crap that they're pulling